Hey, it's time to get your geek on with two ski geeks, and also here to help you buy what you like. That's what our primary mission is, to help you buy what you like and inspire you to find things that are comic books and things in the hobby that will help you to do so and buy what you like. And so, looking forward to this show. I'm your boy Will Call. I have to apologize at first that I've been away from the mic and the camera for a little while. I've been reading a lot of Star Wars, a lot of audiobooks on Thrawn and Star Wars timeline book and things of that nature. Just getting myself caught up on what Star Wars is and all the different uh, nuances of Star Wars, be it Star Wars Rebels or Clone Wars or Andor and uh, uh, Mandalorian, all these different things that are tying in at this particular time. And that's going to be a show for another time. I'm not going to do a Star Wars show today, but that's what I've been doing and spending a lot of my time on doing that research. So I apologize to you. However, what today's show is about is going to be one of the movies that came out 2 weekends ago, which was with the Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse, which was a dynamically fantastic movie. It is a 10 out of 10 stars or a 5 out of 5, or whatever you want to get, 100%, whatever you want to call it. That movie knocks it out of the park. It is a fantastically good movie, great movie, great artwork, great effects in the artwork, even to the point with the faces, the faces, the human emotion, or the great emotional display on the faces of the characters throughout the movie, and the storyline is amazing. Kudos to those. I think it's a team of three writers. I can't remember what their names are, and I'll have to put that in the edits. But kudos to that team who wrote that movie, Across the Spider-Verse, and of course yesterday's movie, because it's Father's Day today, and so this past week was the premiere of the Flash movie, which I saw yesterday. It's another great movie, but I'll give it a 9.5 stars. It's still still an incredibly great movie. Another well-written movie. The effects are good, very good. I won't say they're fantastic, but they're very good. But the plot is amazing, and that ending, ooh, yeah. So do yourself a favor, go out and go see some of these movies, the Flashpoint movie, and also the Miles Morales movie, Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So today's show is going to be dedicated to Miles. And so getting the camera off of my face, I'm just going to try to run through as many books as I got a pile in front of me. As you see, it's almost up to my stomach of books here on the table that are related to Miles Morales. And I want to help share some of the comic book history and some of the things that Miles and his beginning, and to take you up to not the movie that just came out, Across the Spider-Verse, but the one previously, Enter the Spider-Verse, and some of the books related to it, but the Miles history. So let me shut up and get the camera off my face, and let's go traveling down the book verse. So right here we have the book from the artist on Miles Morales, Sara Pichelli. She's the artist, the fantastic artist who helped with beginning of Miles's career and foundation and origins. And so I want to just open this real quick because Sara Pichelli's artwork has been glorious over the years. And also I want to read just something real quick from here on this side. And let me where I put my eyeballs so I can see and read to you accurately without missing too many words on the Miles Morales and Ultimate Legacy. When Sara Pichelli took the Ultimate Spider-Man in the fall of 2011, she had no idea what lay in store for either the character or her career. Brian Michael Bendis, and I'll put a picture of him because I met him at my very first comic book convention that John Michael and I went to back in the early 2000s when Brian Michael Bendis was really an unknown guy and started the Ultimate Spider-Man in retelling with Peter Parker, the Peter Parker Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. It was how that began. And Bendis began at that particular time with that book. But eventually Peter Parker, as I'll spin down here and read, Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley had introduced the ultimate version of Peter Parker in the wildly successful series in 2000. 11 years later, Bendis was still scribing the title, but big changes were in the offing of and death of Peter Parker and the creation of a distinctive new Spider-Man to take his place. That character would be Miles Morales. Pichelli had never launched a series of her own, but Marvel entrusted her with the creation of a character who had a lot riding on him. She proved herself immediately, creating a Miles that felt real and present in his world, a character that readers could tell right away would become an icon in his own right. Since then, Miles has spun off into multiple series and miniseries on his own, sharing the spotlight with the alternate reality Spider-Gwen and the Earth 616 version of Spider-Man. And Pichelli has been there all along, keeping Miles's artistic legacy spinning headlong into the future. So I'm just going to breeze through this book here, just some of the pictures here of Miles's work done by Sara Pichelli. I'm not going to do them all. These are some of the things that Pichelli has done on Miles. I'll angle this light up a little bit to take some of the glare off and roll through. Just glorious work, man. You can't dispute her ability to bring Miles to life. These are books and artwork that they just scream genius. Sara Pichelli is a genius. So if you ever get a chance to go to a comic book show and get her autograph on some of your Miles Morales books, I highly encourage you to do so. She's just done fantastic stuff. And yeah, wrapping up pretty shortly with the artwork of Sara Pichelli on Miles. Just, yeah, this stuff's just great. Thank you, Sara Pichelli, for bringing Miles to our glorious attention, to give him the love that he has found on that movie screen in a fantastically done movie, as I said before. Thank you, Sara Pichelli, for helping create this glorious character. Okay, so now we'll start with the beginning of Miles in Ultimate Fallout #4. This is the second print book. I do have a first print. My first prints they're graded, and but this is the second print. So, and the first, you can tell with the second print because his whole face is shown. In the first print, the bar here, it covers his face. You can't see Miles's face. So it's like a shoulder shot up for the Ultimate Fallout, the first print. But the second print has his face. And this is another second print of Ultimate Fallout #4 that has Miles's full face pulling off the mask. Okay. And then we have next, let's go into this one here. This was the first series of Miles by himself in his solo series with Sara Pichelli. As you see, Brian Michael Bendis is still the scribe, as we just read to you. And this is Miles's first cover by himself in a solo book. And so glad to have that. And then that series eventually it somewhat climaxed in this cover here in this 200 variant edition. Still here, where you have Miles and Peter Parker together. And then we have, let's clear the way here so I can get into how Miles really came about. Well, no, Miles came about here, but let's talk about the Spider-Verse. And so, yeah, that's what we need to go into, the Spider-Verse, because from there we have from that Ultimate Comics, we have a series called Spider-Men that came about as well in the development of the Spider-Verse. I'm sorry, that was not fully showing there in the camera, in the document camera. I apologize to you. But this is where Miles and Peter, and the bringing back of Peter anyway, because no superhero stays dead forever. But when Peter died, they created Miles, and eventually Peter Parker was reincarnated. As always, they always bring the heroes back, especially Peter Parker is never going to stay dead forever. But from here, we began to spin off into the creation of the Spider-Verse. And the Spider-Verse came about around around the time with Doc Ock being the Spider-Man, because while Spider-Man is dead in the regular Marvel universe, he died there as well, and Doc Ock took his place, with Peter Parker's mind still being with Doc Ock, but Doc Ock for the most part was Spider-Man. And so this is where the Spider-Verse was birthed in this book here, the Edge of Spider-Verse here, with the Superior Spider-Man number 32. I have three copies of this. Man, I have 3 copies of that book. Number 32 on the Superior Spider-Man. And then we've got number 33. And then we got where it ends for it. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't end, but the Spider-Verse becomes its own book. The Edge of Spider-Verse becomes its own book, and what I'm going to show next. So the Edge of the Spider-Verse begins to be this right here. So the Edge of the Spider-Verse number 1, and it has Spider-Man Noir. And Spider-Man Noir was created in this book right here. There was an actual book of Spider-Man Noir, which is a 1932 like dark detective Spider-Man. As you see, he even carries a pistol. So that's where the Spider-Verse, we're starting to find different Spider-Men in the Spider-Verse. And so that came about here in the Edge of Spider-Verse number 1. I had 2 copies of that. And then after that, Edge of the Spider-Verse goes into number 2, which is the first appearance of Gwen Stacy, as they call her Spider-Woman at the time, but eventually she becomes Spider-Gwen. And so this is the first appearance of Gwen Stacy in the 616 universe, as we read from the Sara Pichelli book, that spin-off universe in the Spider-Verse of 616, verse 616, of where we had the first appearance of Gwen. Then we got Edge of Spider-Verse number 3. Of another Spider-Man, Aaron Aikman Spider-Man. And then we've got number 4, Edge of Spider-Verse number 4. And then we've got Edge of the Spider-Verse number 5, which when you start getting Penny Parker, the robot, the robot Spider-Man, like almost like a Transformer type Spider-Man with a person inside the robot of the spider, of this mechanical spider machine. Okay, and then after that, you start going into the Spider-Verse itself. So you've got the Spider-Verse number 1. And I'm trying to make sure you get all of this captured. Number 2. All righty. And then after that, we're looking at more Edge of Spider-Verse. Oh yeah, okay. So these go into, they spin off into the Amazing Spider-Man. From the Edge of Spider-Verse, it still continues, but we go into the Amazing Spider-Man is where it spins off into. So we've got in this Amazing Spider-Man #7, the Edge of the Spider-Verse continues, and we have the first British Spider-Man, and then we got Amazing Spider-Man #8. And we're talking about the Spider Girls. I mean, like May, like May Parker, who becomes Spider Girl, and this no, is it May? Yeah, yeah, who was the daughter of Peter, I believe, Peter and Mary Jane in another universe. So the Spider Girl, because there's a Spider Girls book out there as well. So we're beginning to bring all these different spider characters in, and it can become confusing, but then we got Amazing Spider-Man #9, in which you have the Spider-Verse. It goes from the Edge of Spider-Verse, and now you're in the Spider-Verse now. And part one, literally you're in the Spider-Verse, and part one of the Spider-Verse. I have 2 copies of that in Amazing Spider-Man #9, and another variant of Amazing Spider-Man #9. But we're still in the Spider-Verse. We're smack dab in the middle of it here. And we got #10. 2 copies of it. And what is significant about Spider-Man #10? This book here, it is the first appearance of Spider-Punk. This character here, it becomes the first appearance of Spider-Punk, who was also a major character in this newest Miles Morales movie. Everyone says they love this character, Spider-Punk. His name is Hobie Brown, and Hobie Brown in this telling or this universe is not the Prowler, when the Prowler was first introduced in Spider-Man, and back in the 60s and early 70s. The Prowler was at first Hobie Brown and the killer and the thief, the Prowler. But in this case, in this universe, what we're talking about here in this Spider-Verse, Hobie Brown becomes the Spider-Punk as opposed to the Prowler. And so, all right, let's keep going because I know this can be very confusing. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man #11, part 3 of the Spider-Verse, #4. #5. #6. Got 2 of those. And then it wraps up here in #15 in the epilogue of the Spider-Verse. But then it ain't quite over because Marvel's gonna milk it. But we have that full run of the Spider-Verse, but then we got the Spider-Verse team up that came out of that. This is the Spider-Verse team up #1. I think this was a one-shot. They only did one of these books, I believe. And then after that, they restarted the Spider-Verse a few years later in this book here. And so this is another Spider-Verse #1, more modernized. And this one came out not long before the first Enter the Spider-Verse movie with Miles, the first Miles movie itself that came out around 2018, I believe. And this book is around the same release time of that one. And then you got Spider-Verse #3 in that series. And then also we have Spider-Verse that was also part of the Secret Wars. That came around 2017, I believe. So maybe I should have put that one first before the others, but anyway. And then you also have a spinoff with the spiders, with the different spiders, the Web Warriors. So even on this cover, you have the Indian Spider, Peter Porker, Gwen, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Girl, and again, this British Spider-Man as well. So you have all these different characters that came out of Web Warriors and spun out of the Spider-Verse. All right. And so then we've got, after Web Warriors came out, then around this, not long after that, then you began with Spider-Geddon. And Spider-Geddon is primarily the source material for Miles's movie, the second movie that just came out 2 weekends ago. So if you want to know the movie story-ish, or at least the origin of that movie story that just came out 2 weeks ago with Miles Across the Spider-Verse, a lot of it would be right in this book here. So this is Spider-Geddon number 0, number 1, go here, number 2, number 3, a variant on number 3. It's tight. Enyuk Lee. Oh man, Enyuk Lee's he's a bad man. Number 4, with the Spider-Woman, we have Silk, Spider-Woman, and Gwen. And then a variant on number 4, another Enyuk Lee variant. And then the regular cover on Spider-Man 4. I had 3 different covers on Spider-Man number 4, Spider-Geddon number 4. Didn't realize that. And then number 5, and it wrapped up in number 5. The Spider-Geddon wrapped up in this book. Only have 1 cover on it. And I got to back up because I didn't realize I had that out of order, because I should have put the edges of Spider-Geddon. That means I have the edge of the Spider-Geddon, which actually became before the Spider-Geddon books. This is number 2. I probably have a whole series downstairs on the edge of the Spider-Geddon, but I didn't realize that this one came before this series here. So I apologize to you for having things out of order. But the edge of Spider-Geddon, and I'm not sure how many books was in the edge of the Spider-Geddon, then came the Spider-Geddon. Okay. And again, that was source material of the last movie. Then you have Spider-Girls, which was part of the Spider-Geddon story as well, a spin out of that. And this is number 2. I have number 1 downstairs as well. It's a nice cover too. And then we have number 3, the Spider-Geddon, with the Spider-Girls out of Spider-Geddon. And then we have the Vault of Spiders out of the Spider-Geddon. And this is the first appearance and cover of the Cowboy Spider-Man. And then a variant cover on it with, again, the Cowboy Spider-Man on this one here, on that Vault of Spiders. And then after that, they went to, and actually then after they did this, they actually began to make the first Miles movie after those books right there. So then you had Into the Spider-Verse and the material for the first Miles movie and Into the Spider-Verse. And I had 2 copies of that. All righty. And then almost there, this show is almost over. We have an official book about the first Miles movie, Into the Spider-Verse, into the Spider-Verse. And I'm just going to show some pictures here very briefly. I've never opened this book until just now. But here's an idea of what this book looks like for the first Miles movie. And it's just very cool. Great graphics, even is taking scenes directly from the movie and putting them in print here. Love having this book. I said, I've never gone through this book until going through it with you guys right now. There's real cool stuff in it. And so just giving you an idea. And then you also have the Prowler, again, reinvented in the Ultimate Spider-Verse, where the Prowler is Miles's uncle. So real cool in this case, where the Prowler goes back as a throwback to the 1960s version of the Prowler. But in this case, the Prowler is actually Miles's uncle, Aaron. Aaron Morales is Miles's uncle. And some other cool characters in Kingpin from the book. So if you can find this book, you can cop this one and add to your collection. I hope you find it. It's by Titan. It's by Titan as the publisher, and it's a great one to have. Okay, and I'm almost finished with this show. So the main villain from this newest movie, Across the Spider-Verse, appeared in this book right here, and Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 98. In this book, you have the first appearance of the villain from this newest Miles movie appears in this book right here. His first appearance is as he works for the Kingpin. And let's see here. Can I get anything before him with as a scientist? Let's see here. Kingpin hires him. Can't find his name here. I'm trying to find the name in here, but can't see his name in here. I'll have to put that in the credits as opposed to trying to run through. But as you can see, the Spot technology, when he becomes Spot, is based upon Cloak and Dagger's technology, his teleportation capabilities by the character Cloak from the team Cloak and Dagger. And so they use that technology or try to simulate that technology of Cloak's teleportation abilities. And as you can see, the Doctor gets zapped into that hole or spot, that teleportation capability. And when he eventually comes back, we're seeing him here rolling through, and they bring the book back to him. He's in the Spot verse, or that multiverse, with the teleportation verse. And as you can see, the spots, and they become a part of him. And eventually he becomes the Spot. And so that is the beginning, the first appearance of the Spot, who was the villain in the latest Spider-Verse movie. And as you see in the conclusion of this story here in Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man number 98, the next book will be Spidey on the Spot in number 99. And that's the number 99 is the first appearance of the Spot on the cover of Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, the first cover appearance. And I'll put that in the credit, that picture in the credit or edits of this show. So I'm going to get ready to bring us back to my face and put down my readers. Okay, so I hope that you found some of these books inspiring to help you get your geek on and to help you buy what you like. And I hope these are things that you will like and want to add to your collection. I know I did. I've been a big fan of Miles when I first found out about the character. Sadly, it was kind of retroactive when Miles was created. It came out during the time, and I had paused from collecting comic books for about a year and a half. Sadly, and I missed his first, like when it first came to the stand. So I had to go back retroactively and buy Miles's books. But I do have every single book of Miles. Proud to say his first appearance as well. Like I said, my first appearance is also a first print that I have of Miles, and it's graded. So, and I have these second prints that are not graded yet. I'll get them graded eventually. But anyway, regardless of that, I hope you have learned something today, going through this history of the Miles verse and the Spider verse and all the different spiders out there. And I didn't even take you through because there's just too many spider characters, and I have the majority of the book. The majority of the characters in books, be it Spider-Man 2099 or the Scarlet Spider, and God knows too many, just way too many to name. But just sharing a little skosh of the Spider-Verse with you. Hope you go see that movie. The second one is better than the first one. And as I said, it is so good. It is a straight up 10. So go to get ready to sign off. Please like and subscribe to our channel. So glad you made the time to come and spend time with the Two Ski Geeks. And again, we're going to help you get your geek on so you can buy what you like. And we'll holler at you later. Peace.